So today we are going to be talking about SNL and just kind of like the history of it a little bit and comparing old SNL to new SNL. I think I'm going to title this something like, is SNL still funny? Or something like that. And by the end of this, we're not going to get a final answer for that, obviously, because comedy is subjective and blah blah blah. What I find funny, you might not. That's just a thing that's going to happen, I'm sorry. But what we are going to get the answer to is, why does the new SNL feel different than the old one? Like, what makes it different, and why do we feel like we're not getting the same type of content? To start off with, I have been watching SNL on and off most of my life. I vividly remember watching the 40th anniversary with my dad and just kind of being in awe and almost shocked by it, because it was nothing that I had experienced before, and it was a new type of content that I'd never watched. So I figured to start off, we would start with how SNL started, just kind of the beginning. It started because Johnny Carson decided he needed a day off and they needed a time slot to fill. Dick Ebersol and Lorne Michaels came together with this idea of this 90-minute long sketch comedy show with a musical guest at the end, which was kind of unfamiliar territory at that time and not like a common thing. On October 11th, 1975, Saturday Night aired. Now, it wasn't an immediate hit because they were still kind of uncertain with the mix of sketch, stand-up, and musical content mixed together. Now, the first season was still pretty rough throughout, but after popular names like Bill Murray joining the second season, it started to slowly take off. Now, the type of content they were making stayed relatively the same, with cast members switching out up until the mid to early 2000s. Now, this is mainly what I'm going to talk about in this video, and why people consider this the prime of SNL. I think a lot of why people consider this to be the best era is because by this point they had been doing this for 30-some years and they'd mastered the format to a science almost. And they knew exactly what sketches to do, what made people laugh, what didn't, and just they knew how to cater towards their audience, which I think is a big issue that they are having nowadays. I think another big reason of why this era is so popular is because they knew not to take themselves too seriously at this point. Now, at this point, we had a lot of fun sketches that just weren't meant to really say anything politically or anything. They were just there to make people laugh. I think a lot of the sketches they were making, like Dear Sister or Lazy Sunday, they were just people messing around and just seeing what they could do and make it the weirdest thing they possibly could, and it worked. Now, I'm not saying that there wasn't a lot of sketches based around politics during this time, because there was a lot. And it's probably the same amount that they have now, if I'm being honest. Like, that hasn't changed. But it's just the way that they formatted those, they made it seem like they were still trying to joke. It doesn't seem as much as a joke anymore, it just seems like something that they have to do, and they're not really having fun with it. And now this stayed relatively the same up until about 2016, where that big incident happened of Donald Trump getting elected president, and you could just kind of tell from there everything started to change. Now, at first, I don't think it was a bad change. It was fun in the beginning to see Alec Baldwin go up there and make fun of Trump, but after you've seen that 100 times, it gets old. And I think that's why a big part of people are saying these new seasons aren't as good, is because they just keep doing the same joke over and over and over. And it was funny the first time, sure, but after we've seen it so many times, it just feels like you're reusing old content. I also think a big part of why these newer seasons aren't great is because they don't really know who they're catering their content to. Part of their sketches seems like they're still trying to aim towards the older audience of who watched them when the show was first starting and in the earlier seasons, but then sometimes they try and act like they're making content for Gen Z and later millennials, except they don't really understand the content that they like, so it just comes off as very awkward and stale and cringy, if you will. And I think that will get better. I have hope for SNL. I think it will get better, but I think we're in a weird transition stage currently, where they don't know who they're catering to, and they just keep reusing the same jokes over and over. I think right now they're trying to figure out how to make content for everyone and have it not come off as stale or cringy or anything like that. But I do think it will get better. I hope it gets better. This was my first kind of commentary video. I'm sorry if it was bad. I spent the last couple of days trying to get as much research as I can, and I've been watching a lot of SNL in the past couple of days and just researching in general. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Bye.